Hello and welcome to another video review. This is, as requested by the fans, Wolfenstein 3D for DOS. Now, a lot of people have gotten it in their heads that Wolfenstein 3D is actually the first-person shooter ever made, and that is completely false. That would be Battlezone. Battlezone's a tank fighting game, technically, but it's still the first-person shooter ever made. This is the first modern first-person shooter ever made, in that it follows the path of, a person running around shooting people rather than, some tank running around blowing other stuff up. In this game, you play as B.J. Blazkowicz. You're an American agent during World War II. You start in Castle Wolfenstein, and you have to go through and find General Fettgesicht, which I find that name amusing because it means fat face. But anyway, you have to find him and kill him and stop him from unleashing, all sorts of crazy stuff on the world. But anyway, the game is split into 6 episodes of Nazi stomping goodness, and I say that, stereotypically because this is actually a very stereotypical game. Whenever people think of Nazi stomping goodness, they should think of Wolfenstein 3D. It is vehemently pro-American in that, it has so much Nazi stuff in it that it actually is illegal to have or play in Germany and Austria. So, I've pitied the Germans for that. They really need to get over that particular thing in this sense, because, even though they are the enemies, they actually banned it because of the prevalence of the swastika in the game. And there are some levels in this game that actually consist entirely of swastika patterns. So they really did go a little overboard in that respect, but, it's still, a classic first-person shooter, and it's not meant to be taken seriously at all. Now, the graphics are what you'd kind of expect from 1992. They're nothing spectacular. Sprite work is okay. It's not what you'd see later on with Doom or anything much later than that, and especially now. But the sprite work for its time, it worked really well. And especially considering the weak power of the PCs we had at that time. Normally you'd just, be running around doing text-based stuff, or maybe a platforming game like Super Mario Brothers or something. But this was a big leap forward in that it was semi-3D. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, that's not 3D, it's, it's 2D and everything. And yes, it is, technically. So it's 2.5D, as I like to call it. Similar to Duke Nukem 3D and Shadowware, in that it's 2D sprites in a 3D world. And that presents some problems with the graphics, though, because, they definitely have not aged well at all. But if you can look past that and play it in the mindset of the time period, then it actually looks perfectly fine. Now, the sound design and the music are actually extremely well done for 1992. The music, there's only like 3 or 4 songs in the entire game. You have the one that plays when you start up the game, which is known as the Horst-Wessel-Lied, actually the Nazi national anthem, so anyway. Then you have the one that plays during the main screen, the main menu, I mean. And then you have like 2 or 3 that play during the time you're playing, and, well, while they're good, they do get a little repetitive after a while, but other than that, music's well done. The sound effects are actually digitized, and you actually get voice work instead of, like bleeps and bloops and all that kind of stuff like, you see in other stuff. But it's funny because the Germans actually do speak German in this game. It kind of surprises you, but, they do say really stupid stuff, like the Gestapo officers run around, when you kill them, they yell "Mein Leben," which means "my life," and I don't know why they would do something silly like that, but, again, this game is not meant to be taken seriously at all. Now, back in 1992, really people only cared about gameplay. It's not like today where it's like, oh, those graphics suck, the game must suck. No, this is all about the gameplay. And it's simplistically wonderful. Typical first-person shooter fare from the early 90s. You run around looking for keys to open doors to get to the exit. And, well, that worked really well back in the day. It still works okay now, but I know a lot of people are turned off by that kind of thing. So, if that kind of turns you off, then don't look at this game. It's not really worth your time. But if you can look past that, or if you actually enjoy that kind of thing like I do, then by all means check it out. But again, the game is split into 6 sections, episodes, if you will. The first episode is the shareware experience, and each episode is roughly 10 levels, with one of them being basically the boss level. So you get about 60 levels in the game, and it's pretty decently long. it's definitely challenging, especially if you put it up to the higher 2 difficulty levels, with the most high one being I Am Death Incarnate, and that's stuck in the rest of the games, by the way. You can still select it in Return to Castle Wolfenstein and in the new Wolfenstein. But, it's a classic first-person shooter, so I recommend it to people who actually appreciate and like classic first-person shooters. The problem with that is that system has not aged well, so newcomers stay away from it. But it's still a fun game, so I do still recommend it to pretty much everybody who, if you watch my videos, you're pretty much like a classic gamer, basically. So I know that's a very broad statement, but it's pretty much true. A lot of you people are classic gamers, so if you're basically my typical viewer, I guess, then, well, go for it. I'm putting the link to the download in the video description box for the full game from id Software, because they still sell it, and you can actually get it for like your iPod. You can get it for pretty much anything you can find these days. I've seen versions for PlayStation, 3DO, yeah, 3DO, that's pretty hardcore right there. All sorts of crazy stuff, and I'm sure people have ported it to other stuff too. But it's definitely worth playing if you're a classic game nut like I am. So definitely check it out.